Thunderdome. How do we get into the Thunderdome? Apparently, fans can be in the WWE Thunderdome, something I will be saying quite a bit, and something that you heard quite a bit about on tonight's Monday Night Raw. We'll talk about Monday Night Raw, everything going on with WWE heading into SummerSlam's week. In SummerSlam's week on this post show. What's up? It's just me, Kevin, with you and your comments on screen for WrestleZone.com. If you're with us on the podcast side of things, wonderful. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and even more apps. If you're with us on Facebook and YouTube, your comments on screen driving the conversation and so much more. So what is WWE Thunderdome? We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about what happened on tonight's very, very busy, very, very chaotic Monday Night Raw going into SummerSlam this weekend. If you're with us live, don't forget to, hit that like button, give it a subscribe, all those good things you have to do on the internet. So what is WWE Thunderdome? It is a big effort by WWE to shake things up, much like they did with Raw Underground in a more understated way. This is going to be very much a produced thing. This will be their emphasis at the Amway Center in Orlando. They're not calling it the Amway Center. They're calling it Thunderdome. And what Thunderdome is, according to Kevin Dunn, the head WWE television director, it is quite the undertaking. The structure will enable us to deliver an immersive atmosphere and generate more excitement amongst the millions of fans watching our programming around the world. WWE's Thunderdome's debut will mark the introduction of a virtual experience that brings fans into the arena via live video and massive LED boards in conjunction with the Famous Group and its property technology. Now, this will look somewhat similar, we're thinking, we don't know for sure, to what the NBA has done. The NBA has done this with massive LED boards all around the court where they're shooting now within a bubble in Florida. And you see fans kind of react to big plays and different things for various different teams. It seems like it's a pretty big undertaking, and this will be something you see with future episodes of Monday Night Raw, this Sunday SummerSlam, and it will debut live with this Friday's Smackdown on Fox. Included in the experience, fans can register for a virtual seat to be a part of upcoming shows at WWEThunderdome.com or at WWE's various social media pages. Dunn goes on to say, as WWE takes residency at the world-class Amway Center, they'll be there, we believe, reportedly until the end of October for sure. They have reimagined the live experience. So this is pretty interesting here moving forward. We do know that Amway Center is where we're going to get this action. We don't know if NXT TakeOver will be a part of this. It looks like at this point, this will only be for Raw, SmackDown, and future WWE pay-per-views. But they're really selling this as an interactive in-arena atmosphere that has been a staple of WWE events for decades. So they're trying to recreate that in a way they can in the current pandemic. What do you think of this? This is certainly interesting. There's a lot of different takes on this. It was certainly something that seemed, Tom Nook just saying he loves WWE. Looks like he's looking forward to it. We have Charlie singing in WrestleZone. Got to do that for the WrestleZonian fans here. They get the theme song, even though I can't sing it live. People want to know, once again, how do they register for this? You can do it at their website, WWEThunderdome.com. And a lot of different hype in this. How do we interact? It'll be interesting here. I wonder what that's going to look like and how they interact with people. How do they vet people? How do they make sure that people aren't on screen, flipping the bird or mooning? I heard a bunch of different people say, if I get on WWE Thunderdome, I'm going to show my butt. So it's like, obviously, wrestling fans, we're not expecting the most behaved audiences. So a lot of different people with here. It's WWE trying the best they can to make the new arena, yet Marks will still say it sucks. Yeah, I think there'll be plenty of people that will complain about it. It'll be Zoom. It's WWE with a big produced Zoom. And Nick Basson says, Thunderdome sounds so WCW. They did have a dome in WCW. There was like a dome thing they tried, and it was just like a cage that fit inside the ropes or something like that. I remember, I think I only saw them do it once. Thunderdome also makes me think of the infamous Mad Max movie, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. with Tina Turner in it. She was the main villain in it. She ran Bartertown. That movie is ridiculous. It's one of my favorite 80s action movies. Who runs Bartertown? That's right. Go look that movie up. Maybe they need what tweet did I say today? Someone said if they're going to do Thunderdome, Tina Turner needs to be there. I agree. So it's certainly interesting here. Other people are already saying they're registering for it. And it's certainly intriguing. And if you do get in, Wesley Green agrees with me. They need Tina Turner to introduce it. No one needs another hero. I don't know if that's the way that the song goes, Wesley. But I'm interested to see how they use this. Can it be something that enhances the show? Is it something that takes away from the show? WWE's trying things. I don't think people can deny that. Them going into the Performance Center was them trying something. The hockey boards, bringing in fans. You can't deny that they're trying to be as adaptable and fluid in the experience that is COVID-19. They've never stopped doing shows, even with a handful of COVID cases. Advanced testing now. A lot of people thought these shows would be in the Northeast and they would be outdoors. That's what we were talking about last week. Now it's indoors, but in a much bigger controlled space. And WWE is going to be in this arena now in Orlando till the end of October, at least until the end of October. So it's very intriguing, a very, very big story. If you know any WWE fans, definitely share this video with them. And I want to know what they think. I want to know what kids think of this. I think this is something where you will see a lot of young fans be motivated by something like this. Fans, especially younger fans, and this is all media I see now. It isn't simply enough to I want to go to a show and just have fun. I got to go to the show and I have to have some attention. I have to be seen. I have to, pop my section or something like that. And I think this is something where you'll see a lot of young fans be really motivated by this. People that are on the younger side of wrestling fandom could be really into this. Is this something I think older fans? I'm in my 30s. I grew up with the internet the whole time, so I could be on board with it. But if WWE is, as people say, a boomer brand. Boomer. Yeah, okay, sure. That's not hack already. I can see older fans not being as motivated by this. So it's going to be definitely interesting here to see where things go. Yeah, James Long saying Tina Turner is official. Laughing my ass off. Yeah. If they get Tina Turner out there, it'll be definitely funny. Other people chiming in here. Corey Bridges texting in saying people need to give it a chance before they shiz on it, like they always do when WWE does something different. You know what, Corey? I can't deny it. The thing is, everything they're laying out for it seems really interesting for me. Obviously, I haven't seen it yet, so maybe we can't completely say what it is. But the idea of fans, real wrestling fans, having reactions on WWE television while they're doing that stuff has been a huge missing part. And there's only so many ways you can bring that on until, we get back. I think that first WWE show back, that first AEW show back, that first wrestling show back that we get to see on television is going to be really, really special and something to look forward to just in itself. And I do think this is something to intrigue people. It is something I think that a lot of fans have felt has been missing, even though they have controlled fans. We do know this, though. There will be no live fans at these events at the Amway Center. It will feature WWE contracted talent. So there could be kind of similar to what we're seeing in the Performance Center tonight with Monday Night Raw. We will talk about this week's Monday Night Raw in just a minute, and that was the big go home for SummerSlam. A bunch of crazy stuff, like a couple of title changes in one show and all the goofy things. We'll get into it. But I do think this is something that's been missing, is the genuine reaction to something in the ring as it happens, which is just a fundamental part of wrestling pre-pandemic. Now we've kind of found ways to give us a little bit of it, but not completely, because you can't have a full crowd. AEW is trying to have, they had 150 fans at Dynamite last week. There's been independent shows that have popped up. Japan seems to be the most advanced in terms of how they controlled the virus. So they've had 3,800 people socially distanced at New Japan Pro Wrestling events recently. And that was, last month. But now this is WWE in Florida, where cases are very heavy, but in a very controlled space, trying to do this the same way they do in the Performance Center, but on a much, much larger scale. Another thing we can tell you is that the entire arena will become a part of the entrance for the superstars. Kevin Dunn was also speaking in a separate article that we have up now at WrestleZone.com that we were able to research. He used Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion, for example. Imagine he comes out and they're projecting things on the entire ceiling. The entire arena becomes kind of something they use to do an entrance, which I think could be pretty cool. Some pictures have come out of what the staging looks like. The screen looks significantly bigger, like significantly bigger. So if you see superstars in the ring, say these are the superstars in the ring, and you see my hands kind of clashing behind you, and you see my face behind it, imagine I'm like, oh, my favorite wrestler is reacting, all these different things. That big screen behind them is going to be fans. Usually when you'd see WWE kind of shoot and they would shoot towards the screen, it's always the logo of the show. Maybe we cut to a promo of a superstar backstage. It'll be interesting how this is used. It'll definitely be interesting in here. I want to see what more you guys think here. Steven Chambers, big fan of the show. If this works out, watch AEW, copy them. I don't think that's a bad thing, guys. AEW is circumstantially had a really good card lent to them with Daily Center, and that being an open-air amphitheater that allows them to have a lot more people in there and feel a lot more safer and do pyro. That's another thing is I think you will see pyrotechnics back with WWE with all this too. Brandon Lynch texting in, I believe it was interesting looking for future shows. Yeah, I've seen some people crap on it already, but in just kind of like a silly memeing way. This does seem like an interesting thing. I do see a lot of casual and hardcore fans saying, oh, I'll give this a shot. I'll give this a shot and see what they do with it. Noel Orlando Roland says, do you he's asking a question about the Retribution guys. We'll get into that. We didn't get much of them tonight on Monday Night Raw, but we'll talk about it here. Here we go. Some more takes here. Thunderdome. When do I sign up? John Kirby goes, Thunderdome. Sign up when? I'm told WWEThunderdome.com is where you can go and do that. And they're doing it through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So you can definitely check that out. I'm into it. I'm into the idea so far. Right now, it's a thumbs up from me. I say go ahead and do it. Thumbs up. Yeah, get your screenshots of that. And I think it's something worth trying. I think it definitely, WWE has built up this idea of being a spectacle when you go to see it live, that there's pyro and the big screen and the music and but definitely the energy from the audience. If WWE can get they can't get away with a little bit. They have to get away with a significant chunk of that same type of energy. And they can recreate it with social media, which is something they've definitely been able to develop. I mean, they definitely have a very, very strong presence on social media and weave that into the show in an effective way in the long term. Especially with WWE, we don't know what's going to happen with NFL football, Monday Night Raw, and sports and different things like that, changing their seasons. This could be productive. This would be a very, very good thing for WWE. And I think some people saying, like Laura The Rock says, Kevin, it don't work. Oh, you're telling me Thunderdome.com doesn't work yet. But that's just what we're reporting at WrestleZone.com. I don't know when they're going to launch it, but we will see it. I think you should keep an eye on their social medias. I think they'll definitely have a little bit more of a clarity there. That's just the news we got today, is that WWEThunderdome.com is where you would be able to do that. So let's get into Monday Night Raw. Let's get into this week's Monday Night Raw. I thought this was an interesting episode. Definitely an interesting episode in that it had a whole lot of different things going on. I mean, there was a ton of different stuff going on with this week's Raw. Like, there was a lot going on here, especially the week of SummerSlam. And there's some things they did that didn't exactly develop. I mean, I wouldn't say they developed. They definitely added to storylines going into this Monday Night Raw. They did a lot of hammer the nail down, the final oomph on a bunch of different things. But I was surprised so much to see of Cedric Alexander in a supporting role. He was featured in several segments, won a title, lost a title on the same night. A lot of different things there. But we'll get into it. Let's talk about the final show closing segment here. Jay Feliciano, a man who knows WWE quite well, texting and says, Kev, is it just me, or did HBK's upper teeth look not there? Yeah, I heard some people saying that maybe he really got rocked by Randy Orton, the show closing segment in which Randy Orton came out and attacked Shawn Michaels, who was defending the honor of Ric Flair, who Randy Orton attacked the week before, the legendary Ric Flair. A legend in his own right, Shawn Michaels saying he's not going to have that. That isn't right. Randy Orton, Ric Flair was there for you, and you did that to him. Of course, Orton set to take on Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship this Sunday. This has been a very simple, built-up match in a good way where, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair have played those supporting roles to give that classic fan some oomph into Drew McIntyre, that he isn't just this forgotten wrestler for fans who've watched for a long time. He is the WWE champion, and he's earned it, and people believe in him in the back, and that's what they're going for, that he's a wrestler's wrestler. And Randy Orton is this entitled brat who's always been just a son of a bitch, right? He's an evil, evil man. And all those were laid out here, especially with him attacking Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels didn't buzz the hair. Very, very balding Shawn Michaels, which is a very weird thing to say. Charlie Orr saying, rest in peace to Shawn's hair. End of an era. I just don't think Shawn cares about being a sexy boy anymore. And that's okay. He's a reasonable middle-aged man, all right? He's a legendary figure. I don't think he has to care about being a sexy boy anymore. But I'm just bald is beautiful. Once my hair started to thin, I want buzz, buzz, buzz. I was all down for it. Other people, once again, if you're with us live and you haven't done this before, give us your Raw rating. Rate Raw 1 to 10, and tell us what you thought of the final WWE Raw heading into SummerSlam. If you're with us on YouTube, Facebook, on the podcast side of things, hit us up on Twitter as well at WrestleZone.com. I will give my rating here as we kind of churn through all the big angles. But Drew versus Orton, this is a strong match. I don't think it's the biggest match that Drew has had in his title reign. I think him defeating Brock Lesnar was the biggest one. But if they give you the sense of peril of him as a champion, that he's on the ropes here because he got laid out by Orton tonight trying to help Shawn. He took an RKO, and Randy Orton, look what I did. He got something there. It was an effective segment. Did it make me go like, oh, wow, and now I got to see it? No, because I think there were some other things people were hoping for tonight, specifically the Retribution. They built up the idea of they're going to show up. They're going to show up sometime. When are they going to show up? We don't know, but they'll show up. And we didn't get much of them tonight. We got highlight packages of them on the show. John texting in saying he'd love to give it an 8.2 out of 10. Earl gives it a 7.6. Charlie saying he gives it a 6 out of 10. So in the middle rating, Noel gives it a 7. Other parts of Raw that I liked. Cedric Alexander featured quite prominently in the opening segment, in which Cedric, along with his buddy Apollo Crews, the United States champion, his tag team partner Ricochet, and Mustafa Ali, all got involved in the scenario with the Hurt Business, which is led by MVP, along with Bobby Lashley, the monster, Bobby Lashley, the almighty Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. This was all over the place, and it even featured R-Truth winning back the 24/7 championship as he ran out and got blasted by Shelton Benjamin. That title is just thrown around like a hot potato, but tonight it was actually used to build something up with Cedric, who won it earlier in the middle of the night during that tag team match, because Cedric was told he wasn't ready. Bobby Lashley caught him with that big full Nelson. His neck got cracked there. All right, well, sorry, buddy. We're not going to pick you for the team. It was a real, you're not picked for the dodgeball team moment for Cedric. And he sold it like this is a big thing. Later in the night, they also had MVP say, hey, look, your tag team partner didn't pick you there. It's kind of funny that your tag team partner's name is the one and only. He's the one. And the only guy that matters, seemingly. And I thought that was kind of neat. And they get to the 6-man tag, an elimination match, and Bobby Lashley wrecks Ali. He's been back on WWE television for a few weeks. That was kind of a bummer. And then he takes out Ricochet. So here we are. It's 1-on-3. This is something. Cedric Alexander got involved and helped Shelton Benjamin get eliminated, and also pinned him to win that 24/7 championship, because you can defend at any time. And Apollo got then wrecked by Bobby Lashley. Some people would say this didn't do any favors for Ricochet and Ali. I agree, but did a lot for Cedric Alexander, even though he would later lose that title in the night, and Shelton Benjamin would gain it back. It was the most we've seen of Cedric in a long time. They built him up. I like the angle with MVP saying you should join me at a team and you're going to be stuck at catering. There's something there. I don't know what favors he did for Apollo and his United States title defense this Sunday. It's interesting, very interesting what they went. I enjoyed the match. It wasn't, it was all over the place. Couldn't really settle into a lane. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was pretty darn good, and I like that Cedric got some time. Got to admit, WWE's trying to build up some new stars there. So Brandon is texting in here. He says, I love me some Randy Orton. Amazing heel, keeping up with his legend killer gimmick. It's about time they do something with Orton. Been a while. So Brandon, you thinking he wins the title this Sunday on SummerSlam? Could be a chance here. Drew McIntyre, I think if ever his title reign has been in danger, feels like, oh, he's going to lose the title, this is it. I do think it feels really 50-50, so that did interest me there. Brandon also feeling that Cedric Alexander angle there as well. And so definitely other people with different takes here about Randy Orton heading into SummerSlam. Donnie texted in, Donnie saying, I love Randy Orton. His TikTok video yesterday was very funny. Oh, TikTok, not like, oh, okay, like on the app TikTok. It was funny. He was playing with his action figures and it drew, and he gave him an RKO and took the belt. It's pretty funny. Steven Chambers liked Raw as well. He gives it an 8. So a lot of people feeling this week's Raw. Continue to give us your 1 out of 10 rating. Cody texted in here with this on YouTube. Cody saying, honestly, trying to make a new nation out of domination. Yeah, everyone keeps bringing up the Nation of Domination with Hurt Business. That is this group made up of African American superstars, so that they're like the new Nation Domination. MVP is going on the record saying they're not trying to do that. They're trying to do something different, and I agree. So other things on Monday Night Raw that I enjoyed. Mickie James and Natalya back in the ring, but they didn't get an entrance because of that fast, quick pace that WWE wants to do now. And we go zip, 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 in and out of commercials, keep the pace going. That keeps people watching. You notice that. You've seen that on Raw the past couple weeks, and even SmackDown. Less entrances, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep things going. And the reason that is done is to keep quarter-hour viewers. Don't lose your interest. And you get some fun matches, but you get shorter matches, and you get more angles. You saw this with Selena Vega and her angle with her boys Andrade and Angel Garza against Street Profits. A weaving angle. A lot of back and forth and backstage into the ring and all this different stuff. And they revealed through advanced security precautions because of Retribution, they caught her on camera poisoning Montez Ford a few weeks ago, and the Street Profits are now back in action. They'll defend those belts against Garza and Andrade this Sunday. Quite a built-up angle. Didn't love it. They've been building up this angle. Didn't love it because I wanted Bianca Belair right away, and we had to wait to get her. There were so many different things you saw coming you had to wait for that were just kind of like, give it to me when I'm anticipating it. Don't make me remember it 45 minutes later. So that was one of the things here. Oh, Laura loved herself some of this week's Monday Raw. She gives it a 10. What do you give it if you're with us here? So it's definitely an interesting thing here. There's some stuff on the mid-card that really developed up. People like Cedric Alexander. Selena Vega certainly still getting all of her time and being a real heel. I like Bianca Belair being there. I like Mickie James and Natalya being back. But what happened with Mickie James and Natalya? They got distracted by a bigger angle because they have to do this kind of crash TV thing, which works. But sometimes I think this got bit by it because we haven't seen Mickie James in the ring in how long? And it gets cut off by Seth Rollins coming down to the ring to say to Samoa Joe, how come you know about Rey Mysterio? Is he going to be here? Is he going to be here? Just to build up to something. A lot of front selling. And sometimes it kind of crushes what you're seeing in the ring. Like nothing sort of breathes on its own. So that was my biggest thumbs down of the night. It was kind of let some stuff breathe. I understand why it's being done. I get the logic in it. I get the reason in it. And it did make me anticipate some things later on in the night. But that was my biggest thumb down thing. It was the pacing was so fast that nothing really sunk in. For 3 hours, it didn't feel like a 3-hour show. I will say that. I do like that it doesn't feel like a 3-hour show. That's my biggest thumbs up. So the thing I didn't like is also the thing that did work, so it's kind of weird in that way. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, especially if you're watching on demand here. Other people with different takes here, text in, especially if you're watching for the first time. I want to know what you guys think. I'm of the thought that it works here. Steven texting here, bringing this angle up here. We had Raw Underground yet again. This is the best week for Raw Underground. I love this. I thought this was the best week for Raw Underground. It came up in the final hour of the show. They teased it in that 9 p.m. hour. They want to make that final hour feel like something you need to watch. I do think the Raw Underground concept of this fight club backstage at WWE is starting to work. All right, we got a full-fledged match. Eric from the Viking Raiders got beat up Jabron. The Jabroni gets out of the ring. Dolph Ziggler's at ringside. Hey, Shane McMahon's there with Mike. Hey, you want to get in? And it's this flowing fight feel to it that does make it interesting. We got to see Arturo Rudas and Riddick Moss get in the ring, and they kind of had a breakup match. And those guys are from NXT. New names, new people, new faces. You kind of know them, but you see they don't get enough emphasis. Now they get some spotlight there. Dolph Ziggler recently lost a world title. Give him something fresh. Him in the Raw Underground. It's pretty cool. Got to beat Eric with a thumb in the eye in a sleeper hole. I thought that was very unique. I've never seen that before. And we get to see Ivar defend Eric next week. We get a pre-promoted Raw Underground match. This is the first time they've done that. I'm into it. With so much content, you do have to kind of promote each little show platform. I know SummerSlam seems like the main thing this week, but I like that they said, hey, we're going to have this for you next week on Raw. And we know what match we're going to have on Payback, that big network special we're going to do the week after. With WWE having a lot of different plates to spin here, kind of thought they spun them effectively here. Different Corey texts in here, says, this sounds great. I'm supposed to go to TK SummerSlam. You're supposed to go to SummerSlam in Boston. Better than nothing. I'm high risk for COVID, being diabetic. Well, Corey, I guess you're referencing Thunderdome here, and this interactive experience you're going to introduce specifically starting this Friday on Smackdown. It'll be a live episode, and then we'll see it Sunday on SummerSlam, then Raw, and following episodes of SmackDown and Raw after that. These will be live broadcasts from the Amway Center with the Thunderdome kind of emphasis there of interactivity. I do like it. Specifically, you bring up people that are an immune risk, especially with diabetic. I have people in my family that I know that are dealing with that as well, and that is a risk you do have to think when you go anywhere or do anything. I agree with it. It is the right thing to do, and if you can bring some more fans in, especially those that are really eager to do it, I say give it a shot. Give it a shot. It's worth a shot here. Someone did text in about this. I'm trying to find it here. Another thumbs up for the night was the very, very surprising finish in a tag team match with Shayna Baszler and Asuka taking on the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, non-title, and which they kind of teased all the different title defenses they have to do through this Sunday and into the Payback when they're going to defend the women's titles, and how they're so excited for it because they're just dominating WWE. And I was very surprised for them to lose and lose clean with Shayna tapping out Bayley, tapping her out. I was very, very shocked by that. And I think they are still kind of Teflon. They're built up enough, Bayley and Sasha, and they can take the loss. And they're kind of they're shiz heels, man. They're chickens. They kind of run away and they use cheating things to get all the belts and do all the different things, be the mean girls that they are. So I kind of like that someone with dominating real power won. Shayna got to follow that up later on in the night with Nia Jax getting involved in that match. Even then, Shayna coming back into the tag team match, and then back in Raw Underground, they did some stuff with Marina Shafir and Nia Jax attacking him. I would love to see Nia Jax versus Shayna inside Raw Underground, especially because their initial interactions were kind of so rough and rough around the edges. This was something special. I'd be along for it. Jason Garcia texting here says, hey, Kevin, I'm into Dolph looking strong on Raw Underground. Do you think he keeps the momentum up next week and beats Ivar? Interesting question. I like the idea of Dolph getting to go against a tag team. Dolph has done a lot of different things, gone for titles. People don't think he can win them. I do. If he could be like the heel in Raw Underground, he has the legit background. With Kent State, with his wrestling background, he has the real skills. He beat somebody tonight. He was a cheater, right? But it's Raw Underground. Anything kind of goes outside of weapons. Like, people are just kind of using any hold they can do to win a match, and he did. He did that. I think it could be pretty cool, and I do think he beats Ivar, and that does lead to something at Payback. Maybe the first pay-per-view WWE Network match inside Raw Underground. I would keep Dolph in Underground, kind of make him like the Lord of the Underground. We'll see, though. It lends into his kind of like rock and roll, break the rules type vibe. Andrew Bunt texting in here about Thunderdome. Andrew says Thunderdome is going to be like the NBA. Absolutely. It's going to be just like, I think. It's going to be a whole lot like the NBA. It's going to be the first comparison. Guarantee this. Quote me on this, guys. A lot of people are going to be saying, they stole this from the NBA. They didn't steal from the NBA. This is something that a bunch of production people across the world of sports and entertainment have been talking about or developing in the past few months to get this technology where it is. You will see stuff like this. I wouldn't be surprised before the end of the year if you see an award show this year, like the Oscars or the Emmys, or anything like that in kind of like the fall. That is an award season. But I mean, if we're still dealing with COVID going into February or the early part of next year, you will see some type of technology like this, these LED boards and people kind of like a formalized version of Zoom. I think you'll see something like that. I don't think they're going to have actual person in plants. You don't think they're going to have actual people. You think they're going to have plants. We already have that. I do think you'll have genuine fans on the screens. Will it be every single person you see? I don't know. WWE can pick them, and guess what? It's their right to do that. especially if they're not bringing in fans. It's their right to put on anyone they want on the screen in any way. Do you have pre-filmed reactions? Are they natural live reactions? There's so much about this we don't know. I'm most interested to see the pyro, the look and feel of it. Does it add a lot more to the entrances? Does that a lot more to the gravitas of it? They did say they will chime in a crowd reaction, similar to what you've seen in MLB and NHL games. Hopefully it sounds more like the NHL than it does MLB. So other people kind of talking about tonight's Monday Night Raw and different things here. Charlie Orr is saying, are they going to pump in crowd noise? Yes, they are. They will mix it in. They compared it to what's going on with the Major League Baseball. I think, as I just mentioned, the NHL is the best version of this. I don't know why, but to me, in the games I've seen that they have in their bubble, it sounds the best. The ones in the MLB, they're out in the day. There's no one there. Just under daylight, just seems odd to have a crowd noise. I don't know. Even though they're both chimed in, right? It's kind of ridiculous. Just perception there. It is certainly a challenging concept. But back to Monday Night Raw. I know we're all over the place with your live questions. I thought this was a pretty good Monday Night Raw overall. There were some things I didn't like the pacing sometimes felt really good, and the pacing sometimes felt really off. I was missing Retribution. I thought we were going to get something from Retribution besides a video package telling us that they are terrorizing WWE, like they would attack somebody. We didn't get much of them. We didn't even get them interrupting the lights or doing any of that stuff. So maybe that happens at SummerSlam. Maybe they take over the screens, right? That'd be a fun thing. They could hack the screens. Could be something there. Maybe they take over Thunderdome, right? So maybe they take over Raw Underground. I don't know. There's so many more possibilities with it. And I think fans, even though a lot of people were crapping on it, they were looking forward to see what could happen there. And I'm intrigued to see what could happen there as well. But I did feel like we needed something from Retribution tonight going into SummerSlam. We didn't get it. So that was my thumbs down there. Overall, pretty good episode of Monday Night Raw. I wanted more, but I think I got enough. And I think there was enough on the plate. If last week's episode of Raw was the lead into SummerSlam, I think it would have been, oh, wow, you took out Ric Flair and that happened. I did think we kind of got a repeat of that with Orton and Shawn Michaels and Drew McIntyre coming to his victory there. There was a lot there. But overall, I think WWE did a good job here. All things considered, changing stuff. Thunderdome is a big emphasis. It was pretty good. And also they focused quite a bit on a lot of young talent. Also a lot of women featured tonight. Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan were involved in a match with Iconics. We had a lot of women. We had a lot of women featured in WWE. No one can say that is something that is out of sync with what WWE is feeling. A lot of female fans wanting those superstars to be featured, and they are getting that time quite a bit. Much more so than AEW on Wednesday nights. And I'm kind of disappointed about that, considering that AEW has a lot of great female superstars. But time will only tell. What do I give out of 10 this week's episode of Monday Night Raw? I give it a solid 5. I give it a 7. I give it a 7. I think it's a 7. A 7 out of 10. It's a solid episode. Is a light 7. I was almost going to go to a 6.5, but there was a lot of fun things to add to it. This is the best week for Raw Underground. Raw Underground was exciting because it was the first week a few weeks ago, but this is where I'm like, I'm into this. I want to see more of it. Please get rid of the background hip hop music. Just let that vibe be there. I love the people at ringside who had their money and were betting on it. Like it's a fight club. I enjoyed that. Did have a little bit of a cockfighting element to that there. But it's supposed to be weird. Joseph Priestley. So essentially Retribution is the hacker. We don't know that. There's so much we don't know. The thing about Retribution, I think people are most intrigued by is who is the group? What are they doing? Why are they attacking? I saw CM Punk tweet something very, very funny. People said, "Oh, CM Punk's the guy. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be behind Retribution." I don't think that's the case, but I wouldn't mind being wrong. But he did tweet today that everyone in the group should be the son of a former promoter that Vince McMahon put out of business. So it's like, oh wow, that was pretty brutal. And Greg Gagne is going to be one of those guys. Yeah. Be something else here. Other comments kind of coming in here. Someone texting and saying, I personally think that Retribution should have literally destroyed the Performance Center so that we could have a really good reason to not be there anymore. It was kind of disappointing not seeing them do something massive on the end of the show. Other people saying totally, it's got to be Tommaso Ciampa involved. A lot of people think it's Tommaso Ciampa. If you look at his social media presence, it's been kind of cryptic, along with Donovan Dijakovic. And there's been some speculation that the people performing as Retribution under masks, under hoods, attacking WWE SmackDown Raw in the past weeks are not even the people that are going to portray those roles once they're quote unquote revealed in some way or acknowledged in a much more formal way. We'll have to see. I do think they'll do something at SummerSlam. There's going to be something happening at SummerSlam. For sure. There's going to be something happening at SummerSlam with Retribution. We will be back tomorrow afternoon with a lot more news about WWE Thunderdome, what's going on with it. We'll talk about AEW and the changes with them. They've been preempted by NBA playoffs over the course of the next few weeks. And your comments will continue to be on screen. Do you like this format? Do you like this solo format? Do you like just me and you riffing on the wrestling? You can give this video a thumbs up. If you like this video a whole lot on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. Turn the notifications on and all that fun stuff. We will be back tomorrow afternoon with much more fun in the wrestling world. We'll be joined by comedian Brian Christopher. We'll have a lot of fun stuff. We will also have a SummerSlam post show on Sunday. And so if you are following us on the Tube or the Facebook, make sure you have those notifications on so you know when we go live. You can hop in here and be in the old comfy virtual couch with me here. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow. And remember, when watching wrestling, the most important thing about wrestling is to enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.